Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in less than 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. Today, we are talking about the power and impact of Hurricane Michael and what the storm is up to now. Plus, everything else from the president's op-ed to new video streaming services. Those stories and many more in less than 10 minutes. Plus, hang out after today's news for Thing to Know Thursday. We are talking about side hustles and why they're so popular with millennials. I'm Erica Mandy. Today is Thursday, October 11th. You ready? Let's do this. Hundreds of thousands of people in the Southeast are without power as of early this morning, and there's widespread damage. All after Hurricane Michael arrived even stronger than expected yesterday and kept moving. Michael was downgraded to a tropical storm early this morning, but not before it hit the Florida Panhandle yesterday as a Category 4 hurricane, nearly a Category 5, with winds of 155 miles per hour. The strongest storm on record to hit the Florida Panhandle, and get this, it was the third most intense hurricane to hit the U.S. mainland ever. Early video shows some areas that look like a tornado went through there. Neighborhoods are flooded and destroyed. The National Weather Service said there's, quote, unprecedented impacts. CBS News reports there are at least 2 reported deaths now because of the storm, both from falling trees. The governor says thousands of law enforcement, search and rescue teams, and utility crews are now in recovery mode. Michael also moved through parts of Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. 5 states have declared states of emergency. Even as a tropical storm early this morning, it's bringing heavy rain and strong winds. USA Today says flash floods are still a concern in Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia. The storm is not expected to move offshore until Friday. The Weather Channel expects more than 1 million people to be without power by the time this is all over. Authorities will likely get a fuller picture of everything as they start to look around today and tomorrow. So this is a first. An alleged Chinese spy was arrested in Belgium and handed over to the U.S. to face charges. Usually, federal authorities can charge foreign spies, but not actually get them in the country, let alone the courtroom. The AP reports this spy is accused of trying to steal trade secrets from leading U.S. companies, specifically in the aviation and aerospace industries. Stocks sank yesterday, their steepest drop within one day in 8 months. The Dow Jones slid more than 800 points. The Wall Street Journal says investors are worried about growing tensions with China, which could affect markets around the world. And there are also concerns about rising interest rates in the U.S. On one hand, it's a good thing because it's a sign the economy is strong. On the other hand, it means borrowers who want to buy a home or car will have to pay more. So it could slow things down. Tech stocks led the way in yesterday's drop. President Trump's name showed up on the op-ed pages of USA Today, and he did not hold back. He slammed Democrats in the opinion article. The headline said Democrats' Medicare for All plan will demolish promises to seniors. But several other media outlets questioned if USA Today should have published that article because the Washington Post says, while there were a few true things, quote, almost every sentence contained a misleading statement or falsehood. I linked to the full op-ed as well as the fact-checking articles in today's show notes on thenewsworthy.com. Health insurance companies and drugstore companies are joining forces. The Justice Department gave the stamp of approval to 2 major mergers recently. The most recent, the drugstore chain CVS, has the green light now to acquire the health insurance company Aetna. The companies say they'll be able to cut costs for you, the consumer, when they combine their resources. Reuters reports Aetna customers could be encouraged to go to walk-in clinics inside CVS drugstores when possible, and CVS could offer more services in their clinics. Critics worry consumers will have fewer options and ultimately higher prices. We'll see. Several more stories still ahead, but I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, The Neat Company. If you have your own business, a side hustle, or just want to better organize all of your expenses and finances, this is for you. Neat lets you upload your receipts, invoices, and other documents, and then uses its technology to take it from there. It classifies the documents for you and even fills out the key data fields so you don't waste your time copying everything over. And you can capture expenses any way you want, whether it's the camera on your phone, sending an email, or a direct file upload. You can even go back and keyword search for all of your documents so you find what you need when you need it. It's a low-cost solution for recording and storing your critical documents, and it saves you or your business time, up to 12 hours per week. So try it out. The Neat Company is offering you a free 30-day trial at neat.com/newsworthy. Again, take advantage of a 30-day free trial. Go to neat.com, neat.com/newsworthy to get your free trial today. Now, back to the news. Billionaire Richard Branson says his company, Virgin Galactic, will be going to space with a commercial test flight in, quote, weeks, not months. That's what Branson told CNBC, and he added that he himself expects to be going to space in, quote, months, not years. Virgin Galactic wants to be a space tourism company and says it's well on its way. It's estimated to cost about $250,000 right now to get a ticket for space. Branson wants to get that price down to about $40 or $50,000 in 10 years. Elon Musk, who owns SpaceX, and Jeff Bezos, who owns Blue Origin, have also laid out plans to take paying passengers to space, and soon. We'll see if it happens. Apple is apparently prepping a new digital TV service that will offer both free content and subscription channels. Well, Apple-owned content will be free to people who have Apple devices, so an iPhone, iPad, Apple TV. And then CNBC reports there will also be subscription services from traditional media companies like HBO and Showtime. CNBC says to expect this debut to happen early next year, but so far, no official announcement about this from Apple. But wait, there's more. AT&T's Warner Media announced new plans to launch its video service next year as well. The CEO says it'll be centered around HBO, but with other on-demand content. Remember, AT&T now owns HBO ever since it bought Time Warner. NBC News reports you'll still be able to get HBO on its own, but you'll have some new options. Expect the new subscription service to launch by the end of next year, adding to the competition against Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney's new service, and more, including now, Apple. Okay, one more. Snapchat wants in a way. Snapchat is launching what it calls Snap Originals in the next few months. The app will apparently have TV-quality scripted series made for your phone and made to be only about 5 minutes long with a commercial. The Wall Street Journal reports several TV and film producers have agreed to produce Snap Originals. Think animation, romance, and even augmented reality. And that's it for the main news today, but it's now time for Thing to Know Thursday, where we learn about a different topic from a different expert every Thursday after the news. Last week, we got pretty serious with the Facebook data breach, so this week, let's lighten things up a bit. A survey this year found nearly half of all U.S. millennials now have a side hustle. And that same survey found 4 out of 10 Americans in general have a side hustle. Of course, a side hustle is something that brings in money on the side from your main job. So why is it more popular now? My guest today is Chris Guillebeau. He's the New York Times bestselling author of The $100 Startup, Side Hustle, The Happiness of Pursuit, and other books. And he has a short daily podcast called Side Hustle School. It's downloaded more than 2 million times a month. So here's my conversation with Chris Guillebeau. Hi, Chris. Thanks so much for coming on The Newsworthy.
Hey, Erica. Thanks so much for having me.
So let's talk about side hustles. There was a recent survey by Bankrate. CNBC cited this. It's found that more than half of U.S. millennials have a side hustle or a side job of some sort. Is that more than previous generations? And why do you think it's become so popular?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more than previous generations. I mean, the concept of a side hustle isn't something that people have been actively studying, for decades and generations. But I do think the popularity of it is kind of twofold. I think first it is a response or a recognition of reality that even though unemployment is low these days, it doesn't mean that everybody is working a great job. It doesn't mean that all those millennials out there are perfectly satisfied in their job. They have a good salary. They have benefits. A lot of them don't, as we know. I think the other reason, though, is, and this is what I get excited about, is it's not just, out of desperation or necessity. It's because there is so much opportunity these days. There's so much possibility. And, it's never been easier to, open a little Shopify store or another e-commerce store or to buy and resell something, whatever it is. Like it's so easy and so low risk to strike out on your own and do something that I think kind of, why wouldn't you? Like even if you have a great job, even if you have a situation you're really happy with, why wouldn't you also try to do something for yourself? So it's that twofold kind of thing of desperation plus opportunity.
People with these side hustles, though, are not necessarily becoming millionaires from their side hustle, right? So what's the typical amount of money that someone can expect to make? And why do you feel it's still worth the time and energy?
It all depends on what kind of side hustle you're doing. And this is a big part of what I'm trying to help people with and kind of fight for a definition of a side hustle as not just something that is a second job, not just something that is, okay, I've got my full-time job that I do, and then I get off work and I go and work for somebody else. You're really not going to get ahead by doing that. But every single day on Side Hustle School, my podcast, I'm telling a different story of somebody out there who has a day job and creates an asset for themselves, like truly create something that can earn money for them. And every day the minimum is $500 a month. But I've got plenty of stories of people who go on to make a six-figure income from their side hustles. Even this week, I was doing a story about a woman who's a millennial and moves back to Denver. She had been traveling. She goes back to her hometown of Denver and starts a food tour business. And she has kind of a different take on it. She sets it up really smartly where she's not the one necessarily doing all the food tours, but she's hiring these part-time guides. And within a year, she's making $100,000. There is a way to make real money from a side hustle. And that's what I'm trying to help people with, not just like scrape by, not just, I'm going to work 60 hours a week so that I can pay my bills. Like I want to help people actually get ahead.
So I do want to talk a little bit about the gig economy. So this is people who are maybe driving for Uber over the weekend. The gig economy is now 5% of the U.S. workforce. So do you consider that a side hustle? And it sounds like you don't really think that's the smart way to go.
Well, I don't think it's the smartest, let's say. It's okay in life, to have a part-time job or to go through a transition. Most of us have done that. But if you're driving for Uber or Lyft or whatever, they control the entire ecosystem. They essentially set your compensation based on competition, based on routes, all that kind of stuff. If they don't like you for whatever reason, they can pull you from the system. Basically, you have no control over the environment and the amount of money you can earn.
And as you say on your podcast, Side Hustle School, inspiration is good, but inspiration combined with action is much better. So for anyone who wants to actually start a side hustle, but doesn't even really know where to begin, what are a few of your top tips?
Yeah, awesome. Well, for anybody out there, I am cheering you on. I think this is a great thing. So first thing is, don't just follow your passion, follow your skills. So make a detailed inventory of all your skills, all the things that you're good at, not just, if you went to college, what you studied in college, not just what you do for your day job, but your soft skills as well. Ask your friends, what are my strengths? What am I good at? Think about topics like areas of knowledge in which everybody comes to you to ask questions. Kind of do this inventory of skills. I think that's a really good first step because most of the time, like what we are good at, we are also passionate about. And I think it's a much smarter direction to go down by thinking about skills. And the next step is, okay, I've got a skill. How can I then parlay this into some kind of product or service? And I really encourage people to think super basic with this. I had a book, last year for the book tour, which was all about, idea to income in 27 days and showing people, okay, you're probably not going to have that six-figure business in 27 days. But can you actually get something up and running? Yes, you can. You absolutely can.
And you can learn more about Chris Guillebeau, his books, his podcast, and more at chrisguillebeau.com. Just find the link in today's show notes on thenewsworthy.com. And thenewsworthy.com is also where you can read more about all of the news stories we talked about in this episode. From the homepage, just click episodes and look for today's date. Don't forget to share The Newsworthy with your friends if you enjoy it, and hit that subscribe or follow button to get new episodes each weekday on your phone for free. The Newsworthy is ready for you by 4 a.m. every weekday, so I'll be back with more news tomorrow. Have a great day.